So good day everyone. I'll be reporting the chapter 15, which is Rizal's second sojourn in Paris and the Universal Exposition of 1889. Paris in the spring of 1889 was bursting with gaiety and excitement because of the Universal Exposition. Thousands of visitors from all concerns of the world crowded every hotel, inn, and boarding house in Paris. Rizal published his annotated edition of Morga's Successos, founded three Filipino societies, the Kidlat Club, the Indios Bravos, and the RDIM, and wrote Por Telefono, a satire against Father Salvador Fon. Difficulty of finding quarters. In March 1889, it was extremely difficult for a visitor to find living quarters in Paris. The approaching Universal Exposition of 1889, which was scheduled to open on May 6, 1889, attracted thousands of tourists so that all hotel accommodations were taken. For a short time, Rizal lived in the house of his friend Valentin Ventura. He transferred his residence several times, moving from one hotel to another, from one boarding house to another. Finally, he lived in a little room together with two other Filipinos, Captain Justo Trinidad, former Gobernador Silio of Santa Ana, Manila, and a refugee from Spanish tyranny, and Jose Albert, a young student from Manila. Life in Paris. Rizal used most of his time in the reading room of the Bibliothèque Nationale or the National Library, checking up his historical annotations on Morga's book. In his living quarters, writing letters to his family and friends. In the gymnasium for his daily physical exercises and visiting his friends. In his spare hours, Rizal used to dine at the homes of his friends such as Pardo de Taveras, the Venturas, the Bosteds, the Lunas, and etc. On June 24, 1889, a baby girl was born to Juan Luna and Paz Pardo de Tavera. She was their second child. The first was a boy named Andres, whose pet name was Lulin. Her baptismal godfather was Rizal, who chose her name as Maria de la Paz Blanca Loriana Hermenegilda Juan Luna y Pardo de Tavera. Rizal and Paris Exposition of 1889. Like any ordinary Filipino tourist in a foreign land, Rizal was fascinated by the Universal Exposition of Paris, which opened on May 6, 1889. The greatest attraction of this exposition was the Eiffel Tower, 984 feet high, which was built by Alexander Eiffel, celebrated French engineer. One of the features of the exposition was the international art competition in which Felix Hidalgo, Juan Luna, Felix Pardo de Tavera, and Rizal participated. Hidalgo's painting was awarded second prize. The paintings of Juan Luna and F. Pardo de Tavera with each obtained the third prize, while Rizal's entry, which he modeled, got no prize. This bust was quite good to qualify for the exhibition but not good enough to win an international prize. Kidlat Club on March 19, 1889, the same day when he arrived in Paris from London, Rizal organized his compatriots into a society called Kidlat Club. Among the members were Antonio and Juan Luna, Gregorio Aguilera, Fernando Canon, Lauro de Mayuga, Julio Llorente, Guillermo, and Baldomero Rojas. The Kidlat Club was purely a society of temporary nature. It was founded by Rizal simply to bring together the young Filipinos in the French capital so that they could enjoy their sojourn in the city during the duration of the Universal Exposition. Indios Bravos, a new society of Filipino patriots in Paris. The Indio Bravos are the brave Indians. It replaced the ephemeral Kidlat Club. Its members pledged to excel in intellectual and physical prowess in order to win the admiration of the foreigners, particularly the Spaniards. They practiced with great enthusiasm the use of the sword and pistol. Rizal taught them judo, an ancient art of self-defense that he learned in Japan. RDIM Society, another society founded by Rizal in Paris during the Universal Exposition of 1889, was the mysterious Sociedad RDIM Society. Many biographers of Rizal do not mention it. In fact, its existence and role in the crusade for reforms are really enigmatic. Of the numerous letters written by Rizal and his fellow propagandists, only two mentioned this secret society as follows. Rizal's letter to Jose Maria Basa, Paris, September 21, 1889, and Rizal's letter to Marcelo H. del Pilar, Paris, November 4, 1889. According to Dr. Leoncio Lopez Rizal, grandnephew of the hero, the society has a symbol of or countersign represented by a circle divided into three parts by two semicircles having in the center the interlocked letters I and B, meaning Indius Bravos, and the letters RDIM placed outside and upper, lower, left, and right sides of the circle. The letters RDIM are believed to be the initials of the society's secret name, Redention de los Malayos, or the Redemption of the Malays. The aim of the secret society, as stated by Rizal, was the propagation of all useful knowledge, scientific, artistic, literary, and etc. in the Philippines. Evidently, there was another aim, that is the redemption of the Malay race. It must be noted that Rizal was inspired by a famous book entitled Max Havelaar, written by Multatuli. This book exposed the miserable conditions of the oppressed Malay inhabitants of the Netherlands East Indies under Dutch rule. Rizal, writing to Blumentritt from Hong Kong on February 23, 1892, revealed his intention to be a leader of freedom. Annotated edition of Morga published. Rizal's outstanding achievement in Paris was the publication in 1890 of his annotated edition of Morga's Successos, which he wrote in the British Museum. It was printed by Garnier Frerest. The prologue was written by Professor Blumentritt upon the request of Rizal. In his prologue, Blumentritt commended Rizal for his fine historical scholarship. However, he frankly censured Rizal for two things which revealed Rizal's error. Namely, first, Rizal commits the error of many historians in appraising the events on the past in the light of present standards. And two, Rizal's attack on the church were unfair and unjustified because the abuses of the friars should not be construed to mean that Catholicism is bad. In this historical work, Rizal proved that the Filipinos were already civilized before the advent of Spain. They had clothes, government, laws, writing, literature, religion, arts, sciences, and commerce with neighboring Asian nations. Comment on Morga's publication date. The title page of Rizal's annotated edition of Morga reads, Paris, Libreria de Garnier Hermanos, 1890. From this printed date, all biographers of Rizal came to assert that his edition of Morga was published in 1890. The letters from Blumentritt, Rojas, and Mariano Ponce are incontrovertible proof that Morga's Successos by Rizal actually came off the press in 1889. Otherwise, how could these three friends of Rizal read the book before 1890? Rizal as historian. Rizal's research studies in the British Museum, London, and in the Bibliothèque Nationale, Paris, enriched his historical knowledge. His splendid annotations to Morga's book showed his familiarity with the basic principles of historiography. As he once told Isabelo de los Reyes, a historian ought to be rigorously imparted. I never assert anything on my own authority. I cite texts, and when I do, I have them before me. Aside from his excellent annotations on Morga's book, Rizal wrote other works which qualify him to be a real historian. Among them were two historical commentaries written in London, Mai, December 6, 1888, and Tawalisi of Ibn Battuta, January 7, 1889. The Philippines Within a Century, published in La Solidaridad in 4 issues on September 30, October 31, December 15, 1889, and February 15, 1890. Sobre la Indolencia de los Filipinos, or the Indolence of the Filipinos, published in La Solidaridad in 5 successive issues on July 15, July 31, August 1, August 31, and September 1, 1890. Next one is The Colonial Policy in the Philippines, without date, and Manila in the month of December 1872, without date. And lastly, we have the History of the Rizal family of Calamba, without date, and also the Peoples of the Indian Archipelago, without date. Philippines within a century. In this article, Rizal expressed his views on the Spanish colonization in the Philippines and predicted with amazing accuracy the tragic end of Spain's sovereignty in Asia. He portrayed at the beginning of his article the glorious past of the Filipino people, then described their economic stagnation and unhappiness under the harsh of bungling Spanish rule. Toward the last paragraph of the article, he peered into the future and warned Spain of what would happen to her colonial empire in Asia if she would not adopt a more liberal and enlightened policy toward the Philippines. The Indolence of the Filipinos. This other essay of Rizal is also a prestigious work of historical scholarship. It is an able defense of alleged indolence of the Filipinos. In the spirit of a real scholar, Rizal made a critical study of the causes why his people did not work hard during the Spanish time. His main thesis was that Filipinos are not by nature indolent. Long before the coming of the Spaniards, he pointed out that Filipinos were industrious and hardworking. They were very active in agriculture, industries, and commerce. The Spanish conquest of the country brought about a decline in economic activities because the Filipinos had abandoned their pre-Spanish industries and worked less than their ancestors. Such decline in economic life was due to certain causes. First, we have the native revolts and other internal disorders which followed the establishment of the Spanish rule. Second, the wars which the Filipinos fought for Spain against the Dutch, Portuguese, English, and other enemies. The third one, the fruitful raids on the coastal towns and village of Christian Philippines by the Muslim pirates of Mindanao Sulu. The fourth one, the forced labor which compelled thousands of Filipino laborers to work in shipyards, roads, bridges, and other public works, resulting in the abandonment of industry, commerce, and agriculture. Fifth one is lack of stimulus to work harder because of the people could not enjoy the fruits of their labor, and a lot more. It is true, admitted Rizal, that the Filipinos are easygoing and do not work so hard because they are wise enough to adjust themselves to their warm tropical climate. They do not have to kill themselves working hard in order to live because nature gives them abundant harvest by working less than those in the temperate and aid countries. International Association of Filipinologists, taking advantage of world attention which was then focused on the Universal Exposition of 1889 in Paris. Rizal proposed to establish an international association of Filipinologists and have its inaugural convention in the French capital. He first submitted this idea to Blumentritt in a letter dated January 14, 1889, and the latter gladly supported him. He wrote the prospectus of this international association. According to his prospectus, the aim of the association is to study the Philippines from the scientific and historical point of view. Unfortunately, their inaugural convention did not materialize because the French government discouraged the holding of conferences by private organizations during the period of the International Exposition. The next one, we have Project for Filipino College in Hong Kong. Results state that this college aims to train and educate men of good family and financial means in accordance with the demands of modern times and circumstances. A rich Filipino resident in Paris, Mr. Mariano Cunanan, from Mexico, Pampanga, promised to help him raise 40,000 as initial capital for the college. The curriculum consisted of the following subjects: ethics, study of religion, natural law, civil law, deportment, hygiene. Next one is mathematics, physics and chemistry, natural history, geography, and political economy. The next one we have universal history, Philippine history, logic, rhetoric, and poetics. The next one is Spanish, English, French, German, Chinese, and Tagalog. And the last one is gymnastics, equitation, fencing, swimming, music, drawing, and dancing. Por telefono. We have mentioned before that Rizal defended his Noli from the slanderous attack of Fray Jose Rodriguez by penning a satirical booklet entitled La Vision del Fray Rodriguez in the fall of 1889. He wrote another satirical work entitled Por telefono as a reply to another slanderer, Father Salvador Font, who masterminded the banning of his Noli. Por telefono was published in booklet formed in Barcelona, 1889. Rizal received the printed copies from Mariano Ponce, as revealed by his letter to the latter, dated Paris, August 13, 1889. This satirical pamphlet, under the authorship of Dimas Alang, one of Rizal's pen names, is a witty satire which ridicules Father Font. It describes in comical vein a telephone conversation between Father Font, who was in Madrid, and the Father Provincial of the San Agustin Convent in Manila. History shows that the first radio telegraph signals received by Marconi across the Atlantic was in 1901, 12 years after the publication of Rizal's Por Telefono. Christmas in Paris. December 25, 1889 was a wintry day in Paris. Rizal and Jose Albert, who were living frugally in a small room occupied by Captain Justo Trinidad, planned to have a sumptuous Christmas dinner. They scraped enough money to celebrate Christmas. They prepared a Christmas dinner with fried chicken, rice, and vegetables. This dinner proved to be Rizal's last Christmas dinner in Paris. Shortly after New Year, Rizal made a brief visit to London. Biographers do not know the purpose of this visit. It may be due to two reasons: to check up his annotated edition of Morga's Successos with the original copy in the British Museum, and to see Gertrude Beckett for the last time. By the middle of January 1890, he was back in Paris. He complained of a terrible headache. At that time, an epidemic of influenza was raging in Europe. Fortunately, he was not stricken with flu.